Hello, I am Denise Turney, and I am the host of our Chistel, CHISTELL.com YouTube channel. And I'm also the author of the book Love Pour Over Me, which I hope you'll go out and get a copy of and let me know how you enjoy. This Chistel.com YouTube channel is dedicated to all the writers out there and all artists, of which I am one, freelance writers, nonfiction book writers, poets, short story writers, and novelists in particular, and freelance writers. That covers a broad scape. Today, today's topic at our YouTube channel, it focuses on journalists and how journalists tell the stories of our lives. They tell our community, our global world story. So I wanted to focus on them. Yesterday, I actually visited the Civil Rights Museum in Atlanta, Georgia, and I look at the writings of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and then some of the local journalists and how they cover like the March on Washington, and you get what's inside of us as a writer, as a journalist, and our take on it. And we not only our own personal views and opinions and perceptions about events that are occurring in the world, right locally or nationally or even abroad, but also we capture the story of others. We may not agree with their story. There was actually an event in Stone Mountain, Georgia recently, and as a journalist, you may not agree with what is occurring, but you have to get the capture the authentic voice of the people who are involved and share that with a larger audience. And it isn't, when you think about it, that's what we do as artists. If you're genuine, you're sharing something authentic with a larger audience. And so some of the journalists that I thought about, you have your local news journalists, and some explore and they get to the heart of a story more deeply than others. And what popped into my mind was like the water situation in Flint, Michigan. When somebody does a lot of investigative reporting, they can get out in front of something like that and bring a lot of exposure to it, so it doesn't get to that bad of a state. And that's the wonderful job of a journalist. During wars and different types of conflicts, people don't capture journalists and take them in as prisoners and sometimes punish them physically, sometimes even ending their physical experience for nothing. Journalists really are the story keepers. They're like gatekeepers of what's really actually going on. And when you think about any event that got a lot of exposure, whether it was civil rights, whether it was the Holocaust, there was a journalist played a role in bringing that to an end. There is just no way around it. Whether they put the stories on television, whether it's in the newspaper, a magazine article, today, a blog, a picture, an image that hasn't been doctored or like Photoshop. A picture saying to people this actually really took place. It awakened something in us. And again, when I was at that museum in the civil rights movement, it was the images that came across on television. It was the stories that the journalists covered. The same again with the Holocaust. Once those events started to hit the media, it's hard to cover it up. It's hard when the facts get out, and they just keep coming out more and more and more, not only in the stories and firsthand accounts, but also the video, the audio, the images. It's hard for somebody who's doing wrong to stand up and say, I didn't do that. Well, we actually have footage of you doing it. So then it's difficult. So I really wanted to take this time to honor and thank the journalists of the world, our current journalists and formers. For me, people like Walter Cronkite, of course, Edward Morrow, and I'm looking at my list here from Ebony Magazine. He really truly put the spotlight on a lot of accomplishments of African Americans that other people we may not have otherwise known of. And he was a very thorough journalist, Lerone Bennett Jr., and he was with Ebony Magazine, but he also worked in other areas. Ida B. Wells, again, bringing things to light that other people might not even know were actually occurring. Bernard Shaw, Michelle Norris, um, James McBride, Lillian Ross. I could go on and on and on. I truly thank these people. They have teams that work with them, but imagine this. Imagine if nobody knew about the Flint, Michigan water issue. No, if nobody ever knew that Watergate was occurring, if nobody knew about some of the fact bending that would have led these lead countries into wars, it's journalists that bring this to light and expose this. And they, with their work, blesses all of us. And so I tip my hat today to journalists. If you're a journalist, I know that the print newspapers, the subscriptions are going down. I can remember a time when people would not even head for the train, head for the highway in their car or the bus, however they got to work before they got their morning newspaper. So the work that journalists do is becoming more along with television and other mediums, but we need journalists. So if something, is in your heart to pursue a journalist career, I know that again the newspapers and the slicks, they don't have or magazines, they don't have the subscriber base that they once had. But we need you, we need you, we need you, and we need your stories and the investigative reporting. You help to keep things balanced, and you help to keep truths out there that if we didn't know them, and people who are doing wrong, and they come out in the front and look like an angel, you expose that, and that's a great service to everybody. So today's issue of our Chisel.com YouTube channel is just honoring the great journalists of the world. You can think about journalists that, whether it's your local journalists who bring you stories. Imagine if you didn't know maybe local corruption. Imagine if you didn't know that maybe somebody who's doing crime or something illegal was in the wallet of your mayor or governor. If you didn't know, and you didn't know how their votes were being swayed, there's journalists who crack these stories. So again, I really tip my hat to you. And if you are a writer listening to the Chisel.com YouTube channel and you're inspired to be a journalist, I really commend you, and I encourage you to pursue that. You may not be able to make as much income off of your print stories, but you may have to get creative and find other ways to get your stories out here. It could be creating your own YouTube channel, and there are people who've had success with that and putting your stories out there first via your own YouTube channel. But we need investigative people who are thorough, who stick to the facts, who go out there and get those interviews, who will dig for those stories, who won't stop with hearing one person's side, but they might get 10 different people's sides to the story before they can start to see the trend, and they can start to see where the facts come out. And a lot of great journalists, they really do put their lives on the line to do their work, and their work benefits all of us. So I thank you again. And if you haven't subscribed to our Chisel.com YouTube channel, I encourage you to do so. And in the comments section, please share some thoughts about great journalists, local journalists, national and international, who broke stories that you can see have been benefited all of us. So I hope you will share those stories in the comment section here at our Chisel.com YouTube channel. See you back here next week for another session here at our Chisel.com YouTube channel. And I hope you go out and get a copy of my new book, Love Pour Over Me by Denise Turney. Remember, and I'm going to always say this, remember, you are awesome. You are so amazing. You are incredible, and that's the truth. See you next time. Bye for now.